All right, everybody. I want to welcome you to the 100th show. Whether it's coaching, culture, and athletics, or whether it's Dog Pound Radio, it's a lot more than that. You know, if you look at some of the old podcasting venues that I was a part of, but the 100th show tonight is going to be the Maniac, Mikey England. He's stuck in traffic right now, so he's hustling and getting home. You know what's crazy is I was kind of griping today about being tired. Not necessarily not necessarily being elite like the last couple of days. Not being of clear mind and body. You know. And then what does the Maniac Mikey England do on his day off? He goes and he helps with young wrestlers, and that's why he's running a little bit late. But we're gonna roll through here. We're gonna go ahead and get started, and then when Mikey gets in, just a couple of days removed from a big win Friday night, which is awesome. And if you wouldn't mind, heart us, like us, share us, subscribe to us, so we can continue to give you great content. Anyway, tonight is going to be brought to you by a special announcement. I had not anticipated that Dog Mentality, a story of mediocrity to becoming elite, coming out before the first of the year. But I'm gonna have 30 copies of it, and it's gonna be limited supply, obviously, before Christmas. But it's exciting, and I got Mikey in the background here because you don't want to hear me freaking ramble. You want to hear Mikey, the freaking Maniac England, go, and I'm going to bring him to the stage right now. Mikey,
Hey, what's up?
what's up, buddy?
Oh, just on the constant hustle and bustle of all day, every day. Just got done with little kids wrestling, victory wrestling. Had a little practice and hustled on home so I could
Well,
talk to
I
you.
got to throw this out there. The only freaking day off that you've had this week, you're going to go work on wrestling, which is awesome, by the way.
Heck yeah, I got to. Those guys supported me and helped me in a million ways whenever I needed it back a few years ago, and so it's like I'll always support them, as much as I can going forward.
Well, 100%. You know, my goal. All right. So I just released my new killer book. Okay, it's called Dog Mentality: A Story of Mediocrity to Becoming Elite. And bringing an elite star or a maniac mentality onto a dog mentality broadcast it just gives me freaking goosebumps, man.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. I don't
and
know. I mean, that's so funny you call me elite because I don't feel elite. I feel like I am a very normal person who just has stuck with something longer than most, and
well,
maybe that's part of it.
yeah, I mean, you got to throw this out there. I mean, if you look at how many times, I mean, I look at how many times I've quit things because the going got tough in life, and I would quit that crap, and then later on, I'm thinking, man, now the guy down the street has the same damn idea, and he's a millionaire, and here I am screwed up. I quit. I didn't have that elite focus, and so two things that are major in becoming elite, by the way, and this is coming from like the scholars, Mikey, is number one, you don't quit, and number two, you give back to your freaking community, which you're doing tonight.
Well, if that's what makes you elite, then I guess I'm right there. I feel strongly about both those things. About just keep going, and then also it's like give back, and it's kind of funny about the keep going part because I was talking to my roommate from Iowa State the other day, and he's like, "Man," he's like, "You're the only one left." He's like, "You're the only one still, like, out of all of our friends and all of our like, you're the only one still competing." And and it's funny because I mean I can think back to guys that were beating me in second grade, who all of a sudden they were nowhere to be found in junior high. Then there's guys in junior high who were beating the hell out of me. Then in high school, they're nowhere to be found. Same with guys in high school. All of a sudden it's college and they're nowhere to be. And so I've just kind of, have I been elite ever? No, not really, but I've just stuck it out, and then like it gets lonely at that extra mile.
Well,
For
I'm going to throw this out there too because you know who David Goggins is, right?
Absolutely,
Okay.
I have listened to both of his books.
All right. So David Goggins, obviously, he started out as kind of big like me. David Goggins would be saying, "Thanks, get off your ass, get off that treadmill, man, get off your ass and do that." Right. So, I I put on a little bit of weight since Thanksgiving, and I stepped on the wrestling scale last night, Mikey, and I'm like 9 pounds, 9 pounds. You know how hard it was to lose those freaking 9 pounds, but oh crap! I lost him. There he is. He's back. But anyway, I guess what I'm reverting to is 1% of the population, Mikey, have chiseled freaking body and core and mental aptitude that you have.
Well, that's cool to hear because I've always compared myself to the next person up, and so it's like I'm always chasing that way, and so for someone to kind of put it in perspective, like, hey, man, like you got abs. At this point in life, it's like you having abs is,
Well,
is
you're
kind of
32 freaking years old. When I was 32, I was already working on the dad bod when I was coaching you, and
it's easy to do. This is something that's always kept things in perspective for me as far as diet and all and exercise and all that is it takes it takes about an hour on an elliptical to burn 800 calories, where it can you can eat 800 calories in about 30 seconds if you have the right chocolate pie in front of you or chocolate cake in front of you, So it's like that's always I've always kept that in my mind is just like you can eat 800 calories in 30 seconds, but you can only burn that off in about an hour straight of elliptical, So the diet is an important part of that.
now what do you eat? Is it like no carbs? I mean, what do you eat? But and I guess it would be different, like before competitions and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm always trying to fuel my next workout. So I always try to have just I keep it pretty simple, and I don't know, like there's so many studies out there, there's science. I kind of always fall under more of the umbrella of bro science, where it's like I don't know what the actual science is, but this is what's worked for me. But usually I just always try to get like one of each food group. Like I try to get a protein, I try to get a little bit of a carb, I try to get either two vegetables or a vegetable and a fruit or something like that, and just kind of keep it simple, And I try to eat before every workout because I've found out through the years that if I skip a meal before a workout, the end of the workout is usually much tougher, and I don't perform as well. So I usually eat before every workout, and then usually after every workout.
How long's it been since you had an ice cold Coca-Cola?
Ooh, I don't usually. I cut out pop from my diet a long time ago, and I was never that big of a fan of the pops. The things that get me are the ice creams, the baked goods like brownies, cookies. I kind of got a little bit of a reputation on the fire department, and I've had it since I started, and it's kind of followed me around. But I'm a bit of a cookie monster. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have very much self control when it comes to those, and I've never just had this crazy access to them. Like at the fire department, every day we go and we get our groceries and stuff for the day, and some of the bigger stations that have 10 to 20 people at them, like they ball out on the desserts, and so next thing you know, like there's just stacks of Oreos just laying out all day. You're there for 24 hours. And that's actually a very difficult task for me when it comes to discipline, is staying away from the cookies.
What about the little Debbie Christmas trees? Come on, man.
Oh man, I can get down on some of the Christmas trees. I'm trying to think of my favorite little Debbie. Oh, hands down, Nutty Bar guy. If we're sticking in the little Debbie area.
Now, do you just like do you bite off both tops? Because I've been called a monster if I just rip the Nutty Buddies and I eat both of them at the same time, and they're like, "Banks, you're a freaking monster."
Oh man, like if one of my bites only gets half of them, I think I'm doing good.
Now, we're only a few days removed from this fight, and I'll tell you, I think your brother was pirated. It was I actually got to watch the fight, but I think your brother's account was stolen. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple days removed from this baby, are you still sore? Does your head hurt? Are you feeling good? I mean, I see the black eye,
I
man.
think I still got a little black eye, a little bit of a mark on my nose. I didn't realize it until I went to wrestling, and a couple of the kids were throwing some leg kicks and stuff at me and hit me in the legs, and I found out I had a couple bruises remaining on my legs. I'm doing. I feel really good today, honestly. Saturday and Sunday were a little rough, and then I had to work Monday, and so I was at work on Monday, which I didn't feel like terribly as like my body and stuff, but like just kind of like having that whirlwind of a weekend and then going back to work was kind of rough. But like right now, I actually feel pretty good. I don't really have too many lingering bumps and bruises that are bothering me. So, well, overall, I made it out of it. It was not an easy fight, I tell you that. But I made it out pretty unscathed.
Well, I'm gonna say that I think I called you a badass 3,432 times, during the fight. But going back to that second that second round, and he laid into you a couple times, and I'm sure that's the cause of your black eye, right? Now,
Yeah. I
you were
think
stunned,
if
but
you look there, the first time he knocked me down, he hit me right in like square in the nose. And like one of my biggest fears is to like I've seen some pretty gnarly nose breaks. One of my biggest fears is just to have my nose caved in. And so he hit me and knocked me down, and I stood up right away, and I like immediately was like, "Oh no!" And I grabbed my nose, but it was good. I was like, "Okay, we're back in this." I'm like, "We're good."
did your mom call directly after the fight and say, "Mikey, quit getting hit in the face"?
We I think I called her the next day. Honestly, my stepdad came down and watched. I think there's something to watching it live. Like there is a different element that you cannot get watching it on like television or on a screen that you get live. And the live, you have the sound, you have the energy, you have so many. It's just so much. It's just so elevated everything, and he was just like, man, like I could hear it in his voice when he was talking that he didn't like that one as much as some of the other ones. But my mom just texted me and basically was pretty blunt. Was like, "Why do you keep getting hit in the face? Like, not like, why didn't you just stop him?" And I'm like, "Yeah, would have if I could have."
It's easier said than done. How much of a reach differential did he have in comparison to you?
Oh man, I think it was 7 inches of reach, which normally I feel like they just kind of put like they like to put numbers out there because people like to see numbers and compare like, oh, he's this age and he's that age, oh, he's this tall, he's that tall, he weighs this much, he weighs that, and then the reach. And a lot of times I don't think it really is a factor. I think skills and fundamentals and tactics all play a much larger role. But there are times where like it is such a big difference that it does factor in. And I mean, this time like I really didn't. I was having a hard time getting close to him. Like I couldn't get close to him without getting hit. It seemed like, and it made it pretty difficult, especially I especially in that second. I my muscles were pretty lactic acidy. Um, and so I wasn't moving as well. And he ended up catching me a few times, which then it's like that also getting hit, getting rattled like that kind of messes with your adrenaline and stuff too. And so then that just adds on to the exhaustion part of things.
The second time you got knocked down, it was like I don't know. Yeah, you know how when you grab a ball and you go throw it for your dog and the eyes turn black. I kind of saw the Maniac kind of hulk up a little bit after you got knocked down the second time. You're like, no more, dude. And it was a D1 wrestling on. You know, I can't say the bitch word, but I would. I mean, we are after hours, I guess.
Yeah, it that second round was tough. I just felt like I could not. I really planned on his left hand because he was left-handed, and I've watched several of his fights, and a lot of times he does pretty devastating damage with stuff in the clinch. So I was actually a little bit weird. The clinch is probably my best area. I mean, obviously, I'm good on top, but as far as like stand up striking and stuff goes, I would say the clinch is my best area. I'm pretty good there, just from all the hand fighting and stuff through the years. And he actually has uh, a lot of stoppages from people trying to clinch him up and him landing elbows and knees. And so that was an interesting thing to try to navigate as far as game planning because I'm like, man, like he's really good there. That's probably one of his best positions, and it's like that's my best position, and it's like okay. And then I got in there, and I really took all that away from him, and I wish, like knowing what I know now, I wish I would have been more confident in that area. Um, but yeah, in that second, it just I knew he had that good left hand as well that he's put a lot of people down with, and so I was really looking out for that. But it was kind of like, hey, watch my left hand, but here's the right hand, and I couldn't get out of the way of that thing to save my life.
No, that guy was extremely well conditioned, and he was a freaking athlete. I was a little bit nervous. I was okay with you, when you took him down, but he kind of got you in that front headlock. Were you a little bit nervous when he got you there?
Um, no, I mean, obviously, you got to be aware. You got to be aware of what's going on. But I have actually had the luxury of training with just absolute killers in that position. And so it's like I've had basically all the coaches that I have an extremely, extremely effective guillotines, which is kind of that front headlock, front choke position, and they all do it differently. And so I got my old coach James Krause, who was very long like this guy and kind of had ropey type arms and was extremely good with those chokes, just like this guy was. And then I got my coach Zach Cummings currently, who is also pretty long, a little bit more wrestling based, but really good with these kind of front headlock chokes as well. And then I got another coach, Jason High, who is shorter than I am, and he is extremely well at these chokes, but he's built more like steel, like he is super jacked, and like it feels like you got steel pythons around your throat. So luckily, just from my coaches alone, I have had many different looks, spent a ton of time in there figuring out how to get out of it, figuring out what not to do, you know, And so whenever I got in there, and he kind of threw up a couple of those chokes, and I knew I was safe as long as I did a few things like not letting him get his legs involved and stuff like that. And so I wasn't too worried there, and I knew I could work through it and get a takedown. He was pretty annoying with his legs. He was I was kind of uh not being very smart with my hips. I was getting really tall with like my hips were getting high, which was allowing him to kind of lift me and stuff, and that was kind of some mistakes that I was making. And I made that third round a little harder. He like rolled on top of me and then got on top, and I got to feel what it was like to be on bottom. I remember being on bottom and thinking like, oh, so this is what it's like. I'm like, this sucks. Like this
Well,
is what I've been
he
doing to these people all these years.
he did throw a couple elbows there. Now let's go back to your last takedown. Was that a fireman's carry?
Um, so the no, I think it was just a double leg. I think it was
Okay.
just a straight double leg, and so that was kind of actually I don't want to give too much away. Hopefully,
Yeah.
my next opponent doesn't watch this, but it's kind of a wrestling tactic where I basically stood up and got away from him. And in wrestling, you always have to be aware of this as the top guy letting the guy go, and aware of this as the bottom guy being let go. But it's like there's usually in that break of action, there's kind of a lull. Like especially the top guy, they're like, "Oh shoot, they got away. Let me kind of reset, catch my breath, fix my knee pad, fix whatever." And there's just like this lull in action from them that people will relax. So whenever he let me go and I turned, I saw him fixing a glove, fixing another glove, taking a deep breath, bouncing off the cage. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, go get him. Don't let him have this breath. And so right when I got away, I knew I could. I saw that and I attacked immediately because I'm like, we're not staying on our feet. I'm like, this dude just whooped my ass for 5 minutes. I'm like, I am not. I'm like, we will wrestle the rest of this freaking match.
Yeah, and then you were able to flip him over and then get a few of those elbows. And obviously when it's not live you don't hear it, but I mean it doesn't seem like it's that fast, on stream, but is it fairly fast live?
I hope so. I mean, it's on the stream. That's kind of another thing is like you don't get like the sounds and stuff uh, as much as like you do live. And so live, it's like whenever I hit him with that elbow, it's kind of a smack, and then you can also hear it bounce off, like hear the head bounce off like the wood that's underneath the canvas and stuff too. And so it's like a lot of times it was just kind of pinning his head there, which made me the impact didn't look like too much, but I was just trying to drive my like the point of my elbow like into soft parts of his face.
How exhausted were you at the end of that?
Honestly, I was way more exhausted in the second round. Like I was exhausted. Don't get me wrong, but it's like you don't have to. You just have to outrun like you don't have to outrun the bear, so to speak. You just gotta outrun the person next to you, And so it's like I was pretty tired, but I knew he was done, like cooked. And so I was like, that energized me and motivated me. And so it's like, if that round would have kept going, I would have kept beating the hell out of them until like they pulled me off. And so it's like, yeah, I was tired, but I knew I was in way better shape than he was. And that's what kind of made me mad about the second round is that like I had all that lactic acid and stuff, and I knew I was in shape to go 10 rounds if I needed to. And so I didn't get a very good warm up in, honestly. I was getting my hands taped and we kind of did it too late. And then both my coaches coached the 3 fights right before me. So then I was like back there kind of running sprints and didn't really have anyone to warm up with. I think that really kind of bit me in the butt in that second round.
Oh man, but when did you see it in his eyes where he started to show fear? Because he started to show fear in that third round.
Um, and that third, so I think even in the second round, like even though he was tagging me and things weren't going that way, I could feel him like kind of losing a little bit of his tenacity. Like luckily, I think he could have finished me if he would have really like poured it on and started like swinging and stuff because I couldn't get out of the way of anything, but he didn't, and I think it was because he was tired. And so I kind of like was like, well, I hope I'm right because if I'm not, he's gonna keep beating me up. But I'm like, I think he's tired, so I'm just gonna try to like make him run with me. And so then I started just, and I wasn't gonna stay on my feet any longer. So I started diving in on legs and started making him wrestle with me, and I was right. Luckily, I was right to where he started accepting bottom a little bit more. Started he wasn't trying as hard to get up and really wasn't giving me as much effort on bottom. So I started trying to. I'm like, I don't. Did I land any devastating punches? No, but I tried to just make it look bad for the aesthetics of the. That's what judging is. They're judging the fight, so it's kind of how it looks. So I just try to make it look bad.
Well, I thought your body slams pretty much, opened that crap up and pushing him against the stinking chain link fence and kind of scratching him. I thought that was pretty good aesthetically.
Yeah, there's a couple things. I landed a couple punches on the in the clinch and on the fence there. I made him work defend takedowns, and I was kind of like a couple times I didn't take him down, but like I tripped him up and was controlling him a little bit, which is all like that's easy for the judges to be like, oh, like that guy is doing this to this guy against his will. It's like he's winning. Um, just like it's pretty easy whenever he hits me in the face and I fall down. They're like, okay, that guy's winning. But yeah, when I pick him up and I throw him down, like it's easy for the judges to be like, okay, he's clearly winning. And then it's when he's laying on his back and I'm trying to punch him, it's clearly I'm winning.
Well, I will tell you that I interviewed your cousin over the weekend, Zach. With stalemates, and he said, I love that Mikey's doing what he loves, but man, I hate seeing him get punched in the face, and it kind of gave me some resolve. And after seeing you get hit, I was like, holy crap, man, this is just absolute insanity sometimes, but. I do want to talk about something that's maybe something that's not really covered, even in high school athletics. Like from an elite perspective, from a maniac, from a dog perspective. Mikey, how do you take care of your body after you compete, especially when you compete, in such a crazy match there?
Man, it's especially as time goes on and I get older and older, like the recovery becomes more important. And when I was younger, man, I really, and of course, all we do, we kind of just don't realize it. But it's like I didn't do any recovery. It was just I woke up fine every day. Where now, man, I literally have to get to the gym and start warming up 45 minutes before we actually even start practice and start warming up. So I get to the gym, I start jumping rope, I start doing all my calisthenics and stretching, all the extra stretches and warm ups that I need. And I am literally sweating before practice even starts. And that's just to avoid any sort of dumb injuries that happen. Because at this point, I've realized it's a marathon and not a sprint. And so it's like the more consistent days I can like put together, the better it's gonna be. But it's like if I get hurt, that puts that I cannot stand it because I can't train then, and I'm just losing days. So it's like it is so important for me to focus on the recovery part of things because it's like if I get hurt, that's one. I have to explain to my work why I got hurt, which is not after a couple times they're like, all right, like what are you doing, dude? Like and then on top of that, just not being able to train, like you're just losing days. So I think diet is a good part of that. I think sleep is a huge part of recovery. My fiance, she understands that I take sleep very serious, and and yeah, I try to be asleep before 10, and usually it starts during opening credits of a movie. And then I try to, eat all the right things and be warmed up, ready to go before I do anything. Because yeah, I can't afford to get hurt at this stage in the game. I'm too old.
It's amazing that we're saying you're too old, and when I had you on the football field, I was the same age. I mean, it's it's crazy to see you. You know what I mean, at this juncture in your life, man. Do you take ice baths? Do you get in the whirlpool? Do you do anything like that?
I wish I did more. I have, and there was a time where I was really consistent with it. I used to don't tell anyone, but I used to use my fiance's brother's login to this really nice country club gym, and they had an ice bath and sauna and whirlpool in there, and I don't think I ever told them, but I used it like every day for like a year, and then they started like taking photo IDs and shutting that down, so I had to stop. But I used to. I really like it. I don't know how much it like the according to the science. I don't know how much it actually helps you like recover and stuff. But as far for your mind, I think the cold plunge stuff is really good for you. It gets your adrenaline going, and it gets a lot. It basically stresses your body without having the cortisol, which is like the bad stress. And so it basically it stresses your body and all your systems without giving you like the dump of cortisol that it kind of leads to bad things. So ice bath is good. And then they say sauna. Sauna is really, really good for you. Really good for your cardiovascular and your heart and your longevity. But the most important thing is your sleep.
Yeah.
The-
Now, is did they kick you out of the ice bath and the whirlpool and get that photo identification because you urinated in it?
no, I'm potty trained.
I have to throw in some crap, right? All right, so I'm I'm sure the entire Iowa community is rolling their eyes with that comment. You know what? It's about dog mentality, a story of mediocrity to becoming elite, and I want to become elite like Mikey.
I mean, you can't be peeing in the pool.
I know, man. It's but I we used to have a lot of fun with that, but
You
what's
can
what's
pee in the pool, but you can't like stand outside the pool and pee into the pool.
probably not a good idea.
That's,
This
uh,
it,
that's where
I
people draw the line.
I don't know whether you could chlorinate that. Okay, so hey, what's next, man? I mean, obviously, you're 9-1. You got the big fight, the main event. Uh, when the hell is Dana White gonna call you?
Man, I don't know. I thought it would happen by now. Um, I've had kind of some bad timing with some stuff as far as like my loss and with laser eye surgery and back injuries, but I mean, like I said, I'm just gonna keep chipping away and keep getting. Because I mean, I can obviously get better, so there's still a lot of stuff I can work on, and I'm just gonna keep chipping away and keep winning fights and try to make it undeniable. Because I mean, I see people get in at 32, 33, 34, 35. Like I've seen it, so it's like I'm just gonna keep getting better until that moment happens, and then I'm gonna go out there and freaking let it fly, and just
Well,
get.
I am going to tell you that I'm going to take at that point when I'm making millions of dollars, I'm going to make sure that Chuck Banks' name is on your cheeks, so everyone can see this dog mentality thing.
Heck yeah, give me. I'll I'll sponsor it for sure.
Oh, 100%. Now, and again, I will freaking call out Joe Rogan. Obviously, the is it the the experience, Joe Rogan experience. I remember when I had you on here a few months ago, man, and it was the Chuck Banks experience. But I've kind of went back to Dog Pound Radio, and what's awesome and what's crazy is this is my 100th episode, whether it be anything when we talk about athletics or you know what I mean, like mental enhancement, anything that is kind of centered towards becoming a better person. And you're the 100th, my brother.
Heck yeah, I am honored. That's 100. I mean, that's some consistency, that's part of it. Just staying consistent and keep putting content out there.
Yeah, I years ago, and you probably remember, my paranormal books, and I did a plethora of paranormal podcasts, and you know,
Uh-huh.
I mean, was it fun? Yes, but was it my passion? No, my passion is obviously trying to create a better world for my grandkids, for and the plethora of people that are going to follow us, and birds of a feather flock together. I couldn't have asked for a better move from last year, because at this time, I think I went through a period, Mikey, of 18 months where I didn't podcast, where I was just drained. And sometimes you have to do that. You have to, kind of go and go into a dark room and get focused and do that sort of stuff. But it was self-induced. I think the biggest thing that I ever learned from my mediocreness and my just good enoughness, if that's a word, and becoming a dog, was that number one, every experience and every decision that we ever make, even if it's a negative or a positive outcome, even if it's outside influence, is a decision that we make, and ultimately at the end of the day, it's how we respond to that adversity, to whether or not we're going to continue to be elite, or we're going to be pulled back by the other 99% of the idiots that they're going to fight for scraps. And Michael Kosrich, dog mentality, always focused on getting better, one of the hardest working dudes out there. I'm sure he's talking about Mikey England. I'm sure he's not talking about Chucky Banks. I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean, that's cool that he says that, because I mean that's what I try to focus on, is literally I mean, like, when it comes down to it, like, you can think about all these things and all these wants and all these accomplishments you want to have and stuff, and it can kind of get overwhelming and all that. But it's like, if you just focus on improving every single day, and then you rattle off 100 days of that, 100 podcasts of that, 10 years of whatever, that adds up over time, and it's like, day by day, maybe you don't see much, but you look back and over the years, you're like, oh wow, like, I've come a long way. I came across a video from 2019. I was in the exercise room of my I was in the exercise room of my apartment building at the time, and I have a video of me doing shadow boxing. And I literally came across it last week, which was so funny, because last week I had a couple videos of me shadow boxing currently. And so I compared the two, and I'm like, man, like, I may not be where I want to be, but I am way better than I was back then. And it's
You know,
like that video, I almost want to release it. It's embarrassing to watch me, like, shadow box like back then, and I remember videoing it and be like, oh yeah, that looks good. But it's like, I have come so far from that I'm like, okay, I'm like, you just see, you're getting there. You're not where you want to be, but you just got to keep going.
Clint Woodward, I think you know who he is, and he says, Mikey. The best part of the speech was his self motivation talk.
Oh yeah, it's funny because I said that, and it sounded ridiculous, which I guess the quote was I had a self talk with myself in the corner, and I told myself to stop being an effing wussy and to get out there and win the effing fight, take them down and win the effing fight. Um, and that's funny to me because that's literally how I talk to myself. And I know they say you got to be positive and positively talk to yourself and all that stuff. Which, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have a good balance, but it's like if I don't give myself tough love, who will, you know? And so it's like I wish I could have like my inner monologue mic'd up whenever I work out because it's it's a lot of that if I'm being honest.
Yeah, yeah. Now let's dig into something that I think it is extremely important because we obviously we have a lot of athletes and as you can attest, uh, I would say like wrestling is like 99% mental and 1%. Well, it's probably not that, but the mental toughness that it takes to compete at a very high level. What does a person got to do?
I think they I mean there's okay. Man, I could give you a book that will answer this question, and it's called Mastery by Robert Greene. It's hands down my favorite book, and it very thoroughly talks about what you need to do to become a master to at something. And it's like you gotta have a mentor who can show you the way. You gotta have experiences, and then you gotta be able to uh, uniquely put all of it together, and you gotta, and then at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to like 10,000 hours, and it's like you got to spend time hacking away at it. But that book is absolutely phenomenal, and it very thoroughly goes over that because it's there's a lot of things to it there because like sometimes like when you're trying so hard and you're hacking away at it and you put too much pressure on yourself and all that, and then all of a sudden you become stagnant, you know. It's like that can happen, and then it's like, well, then it's like, all right, well, I don't want to do that, so then you kind of go about it loosely and maybe not as not as oh what like just kind of go about it loosely and a little bit more nonchalant, and then it's like, well, now you're not working enough. And so there's kind of a good balance you got to find, and you got to find what works for you, and everybody's different. Like I got a really good training partner, Gage, who fought right before me, and he's literally just knocks people out on his feet. So good, great eyes, great athlete, and we both kind of started at the same time, and we're both like, he's like 7-1, 8-1, and I'm 9-1, you know. But we go about it in way different ways, and we go about training in way different ways. But we're kind of getting the same result. So it's whatever. There's references you can go out there and like learn and stuff, but it's like it really comes down to your uniqueness and how you are able to piece all your experiences and work ethic and creativeness and stuff all together to, you know, create something. And one of the consistent factors in all this is consistency. It's like you just gotta stick with it for a
You know,
long time.
a question I asked your cousin. It's also a question that I found on the internet. It was on TikTok land, right? This guy, he's passed away, but he asked two questions, and he asked a waitress. I want to say, I don't know whether you've ever seen the video, but have you found the opportunity for you and your family that is going to take care of you for the rest of your life? And that's just a pondering reflection and an opportunity. And I think that you personally, you seize those damn opportunities, and you throat punch them to the point to where, you know what, I'm going to prevail. But how would you answer this question? Because you got a fiance, man. You're getting married soon.
Yeah, for me that'd be the well, it would be the fire department. Um, and then kind of the reason it's the fire department is kind of even bigger than that as far as basically it's the fire department, but then it's kind of something bigger than that, and it's really a network. Like I have a network of people that like can take care of me, and it's like I've always had a really good network because my family is so big, and then grew up in a small town to where everyone knew and like was really it's pretty close knit community as far as my experience went. Um, so I've always had a good network, and then even with like wrestling immediately got me a network wherever I went. And so then once I got out of college and started living my adult life and I made it here in Kansas City, the first thing I did was reach out to the local high school and ask if I could help. And then they're like, yeah, absolutely. Our practices are at 4. Well, I didn't get off work till 5. And then Victory Wrestling was practicing at 6 o'clock in that same room. And so then I just started helping them. And then that network literally led to me having the fire department. Now I'm on the fire department. Now the fire department network has led to me having my fiance, honestly. And it's just a continuing network that creates opportunities that, will help you take care of your family the rest of your life. And then you can help others as well.
That was a great question, wasn't it?
It was a good question.
And
Uh,
here, here was the second question that he said is going to be the most important question of your life. Well, we'll see here. Are you spending time every week looking for this opportunity?
um, I feel like I've already found the opportunity. So I'm no longer necessarily looking for it. I'm just trying to cultivate it. And that's I just I feel like I've found what I'm gonna be doing, and I mean that can always change. But it's like now for me, it's just do the best job I can do at it every single day. Give my best effort every day towards these things.
Do you know why you found it? It's because you're stinking elite.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think it's that. I think it's I am good to people, and when you're good to people, they're good back to you, and as long as you can kind of do that and have a good work ethic and everything, I think things down the line just start kind of landing in your lap.
150%. And I'm not a mathematician, but that probably doesn't work. But Mikey, I really appreciate you coming on. Be sure to stay on here. But I'm definitely gonna let you give a shout out. You got to give Mama a shout out. You got to give your obviously your lovely fiance a shout out. And also, if you wouldn't mind, tell our bloodhounds to go kick some ass.
Heck yeah, yeah. Well, I'll shout out my family. I'll shout out my mom, Kathy Cochran. I'm sure most of the listeners know her, either in person from her voice or from her Facebook celebrity status that she's claimed over the years. I'll give a shout out to my fiance who's waiting for me in there in the other room, Bernie Fisher. And I mean, I could give shout outs all day. There's so many people that help. My roommates help me out. They also fight. They help me with fight week each time. My coaches, then the rest of my family, like they make it fun. They rally behind me. My brothers. I only had one brother at this fight last time, but the other two were in other states watching it, and yeah, I mean, I could shout out people all day. There's so many people that help me out and make it possible for me to pursue uh, opportunities. So, oh yeah, and the Bloodhounds. go ahead and continue kicking ass. I think last time we had this, they had a big game. It was Keokuk,
Mm-hmm.
and they won, right?
Yes.
Yep, they won, and so not only continue kicking ass in the future. Congratulations on kicking ass this past football season.
Man, that's freaking phenomenal. I got to give a special shout out to Dick England. Anyway,
Yeah.
for everybody with Dog Pound Radio, our next show, we will go live a little bit, this weekend for the JV tournament, and try to get you some information. But Sunday night, we got Nick Flock. Okay, he's a Fort Madison state champ. He's also got the Flakowski. It's a special shoe, Mikey. You ought to buy it.
Okay.
We're out.